Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm talking about everyone is you pushed out. Talking about relationships again, and how does that work? What's going on inside of you? How can what's going on inside of you affect somebody else? How can that, whatever energy you've got around that subject, how can it affect that person? Okay, there are several takes on this, but this is my take on it. I like the multiple reality theory. So the fact that when we choose to experience something, we slip into that reality where that thing is there, where that person is behaving in that way. If we do it with no resistance, it happens really, really quickly. It's happened for me overnight when I've had no resistance whatsoever. So I start experiencing the version that I have created with whatever I've done, whether it's been a visualization. It's always come with a fairly strong feeling for me when it's happened the next day because it's been a visualization that I've had and a feeling that I really like that to happen, and then it's happened, and one person has gone from being a certain way to being a completely different way the very next day, and it doesn't make sense, doesn't seem to make sense, because it doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. So that is my take on it, that's what's happening. So whatever's going on inside of you is creating your reality. So let's say that you've split up with somebody, you're really devastated, they're with somebody else now. So this is quite a big thing to get your head around. They're with somebody else, they seem to be happy. This has happened to me as well. And so you're feeling it, you're feeling they're with them and they're happy. So that's what you're creating. You'll see stuff from them on social media will pop up, all loved up. You'll hear that they're really happy. You'll hear that they're getting on really well. And that is the reality you'll be living with. So you didn't know anything about the law of attraction, so you were at home that evening and you thought you had a really deep desire for them to come back to you and realise that they weren't really into that person, which would seem crazy from the point that you know now they're really loved up and happy, and you would just think it, and it'd be very natural because you wouldn't know that you were trying to make anything happen. You would just be having an overwhelming feeling. You might feel sad, it doesn't mean that you have to feel happy or positive. You could still do this feeling and be crying at the same time, but you have this overwhelming desire for this to happen. Well, the very next day, with no resistance, mind, because you don't know about the law of attraction, so there won't be any resistance because you're not actively trying to make it happen, you would get a call or a text from them saying that they felt that they'd made a mistake. I'm not saying it would necessarily happen the next day, but it very well could. For me, it was the same day actually, but it could, it wouldn't be that long. It might be a few days, it might be a week, but I probably wouldn't be that long because you would have had zero resistance, and it's all about the resistance. It really is. So exactly what, I'm not going to go into this story because I've told it a ton of times, but with my first boyfriend, exactly what happened. So what's happening is you're in a state, you have almost put in a request to whatever this is, to your higher self, to slip into a reality where they want you back. And that's what happens. So you are not changing that particular version. You're not messing with anyone's head. It's just that version of the person that you're seeing is a slightly different version than you were seeing the day before. I mean, they still have all the memories. I'm not saying they are a different person. It's a real mind bend, I get it, but it's the only way that this works for me. It's the only way that, for me, that I can make sense of it. And, there is definitely a possibility that there are multiple realities. So, it's definitely, for me, it works. I love science and it's a definite possibility. So you are just experiencing a new version of, you are not messing with the inner workings of someone's mind, because how could you help that? The thing is, if this is the way that we are designed, and this is what we are designed to do, which as far as I'm concerned, we clearly are, they're not doing anything wrong, are you? You can't help having a desire that somebody changes their mind and then the next day they do. That doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It's just what we do, and it just seems to be the way that we interact with each other, and it just seems to be the way that this happens. I don't understand it. I'm no expert, and when I tell you what I think things are, it's only from my point of view. I don't really know. Of course I don't. None of us do. None of us knows. So we can come back and tell you this is what's going on here, but we don't know. It's only what's going on for us, and that seems to be, for me, what's going on for me. So as I spoke about before in my last video, if you have the narrative going on, of a certain narrative going on, then you are going to see evidence of that narrative. So it's changing that narrative, bringing it more in line with what you want to see, and feeling that. And that is why self-concept is so important, because I think it's another thing that people struggle to get their heads around. If I feel good about myself, how the hell does that mean that I can get my ex back, or I can manifest a specific person, or I don't get it. Well, I don't really get it either, but it kind of makes sense to me now on a more subconscious level. So when you feel good about yourself and you're confident in yourself, you have high self-worth, you value yourself, all of this stuff naturally, so you won't take any crap from anyone, and you know that you won't. You don't get the crap, you get the good stuff, because you then have that inner feeling state about yourself. So you then bring the people to you that coincide with that. It's not really the right word, but on that level. I don't really mean on that level, I mean, and I don't mean vibrating at the same level as you or anything like that. It's just that that's what you will accept and that's what you are good with. So people then conform to that. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't really like that word conform, make them conform, because you're not making anybody conform, they just do, because your inner state is such that you experience people respecting you because your self-worth is high and all of that stuff. And that's what happens. Honestly, when I've been in a low state and I felt really rubbish about myself, then I've seen loads of rubbish things going on around me and people just not behaving that great and that sort of thing. But once I got to grips with myself and thought, hang on, what is better than feeling good? There's nothing better than feeling good about yourself, because then everything else is not quite so significant. And what I mean by that is all of those little things that you want, they're still significant, you still want them, but they don't take over and they do not become the be all and end all, because you know that you are the be all and end all. If that makes sense. So yeah, so if you get that straight, yes, I know none of this does really make sense, but nothing does it? Whatever theory you have on life doesn't really make sense. It's not really rational, none of it is. So just go with what works for you. So that is my theory, that we get to experience what we want to experience because this is our reality, this is my reality, so I get to experience people in the way that I feel them and the way I feel about myself, and all of that comes into play too. Like I said, I don't understand it, but for me, I truly believe that that's what's going on. So if you can get your head around that and it all becomes about you, then it's easier to work on you than to work on manifesting this person and manifest that person or this job or that career, or it's so much easier, because when you then come to want things, which I do, of course I want things, it's natural, I don't ever try for it and I don't feel the need to try, and no, I won't need to try. I just intend for what I want and then just let it happen. I have no idea when that's going to come. I'm still a little bit impatient sometimes, but I can rein that in and deal with that now, which you will be able to do. If you get all of this sorted, the inner stuff sorted, the outer stuff will sort itself out. Yeah, that's true. That's probably the best way to put this. Anyway, I hope that was useful. I'm an author, my books are listed below. I also offer some Zoom coaching if you want to pop along to my website and ask the question. I will see if I've got any available dates for you. I have a members area on my website, which is £5 a month, and with that you do get email support. That closes every now and again because I am to capacity, and then a couple of people will leave and then I'll be able to open it up again. But it's teetering on the edge all of the time, and I don't want to have anybody else involved as such. I don't want to take anyone on to answer questions and stuff, because they're not going to answer them as I would, and you join because you want to talk to me. Otherwise I just get so many emails and I might miss one now and again and stuff like that, and I don't want to do that. So I want to give a good service. So if you see a notice on there saying that it's full, just leave me your email address and I will add you to the waiting list. But otherwise just go ahead and join. That's it really. My son has a Law of Attraction channel, that's Harrison Ellis, and that is listed below, and his profile picture will show at the end too.